Imagine the largest state in the United States, California, a land so powerful economically that if it stood alone as an independent country, it would rank among the top 5 economies on Earth, rivaling entire nations, a place where the western coastline shines with megacities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, and San Diego, where endless freeways pulse with life, skyscrapers scrape the sky, movie studios shape global culture, world-changing technology companies invent the future, global ports connect continents, elite universities attract the brightest minds, and more than 35 million people live fast, connected, opportunity-driven lives. Yet, astonishingly, right beside this hyper-developed, hyper-populated world exists another California that feels almost forgotten by time itself, a vast eastern region where highways stretch for hours without another vehicle in sight, where towns are scattered like tiny islands in an ocean of land, where silence dominates the landscape, where nights are so quiet you can hear the wind move across the desert, and where nature appears to have slowly but decisively reclaimed control. And this mind-bending contrast raises one of the most powerful geographical questions in modern America. How can one of the richest, most advanced, most influential regions on the planet exist side by side with an area that feels nearly empty, almost like a modern no man's land? The answer is not simple, because Eastern California's emptiness is not caused by a single problem or a single failure, but by a long chain reaction of geography, climate, water scarcity, economic imbalance, historical settlement patterns, infrastructure challenges, environmental protection laws, and basic human survival instincts, all working together over centuries to quietly but permanently shape where people choose to live, and where they choose not to. And it all begins with geography, the silent architect of destiny, because standing like a colossal stone wall between western and eastern California is the Sierra Nevada mountain range, a massive spine of rock rising thousands of meters into the sky, so powerful that it literally controls the movement of clouds, storms, and life itself. Moist air from the Pacific Ocean travels inland, carried by prevailing winds, but when it collides with the Sierra Nevada, it is forced upward, cools rapidly, and releases almost all of its rain and snow on the western slopes, feeding rivers, forests, fertile valleys, farmland, and massive reservoirs that sustain cities and agriculture, while the air that finally crosses over to the eastern side descends dry, depleted, and lifeless, creating what scientists call the rain shadow effect, a climatic phenomenon so extreme that it transforms Eastern California into one of the driest regions in North America, giving birth to some of the harshest environments on the continent, including Death Valley, the hottest place on Earth, where summer temperatures routinely exceed 50 degrees Celsius, hot enough to warp metal, melt road surfaces, shut down engines, and kill unprepared travelers within hours, while at night the temperature can plunge suddenly, creating deadly contrasts that make long-term human settlement incredibly difficult and energy-intensive. Nearby, the Mojave Desert stretches endlessly across the horizon, receiving so little rainfall that some areas do not experience meaningful rain for years at a time, where violent dust storms turn the sky brown, blinding sand erases visibility, and scorching heat makes construction, agriculture, and even simple maintenance a constant war against nature. But while extreme heat and desert conditions make life difficult, they are not the ultimate reason Eastern California remains so empty. The true killer of civilization here is water scarcity, because without a stable, reliable supply of water, cities cannot expand, farms cannot survive, industries cannot function, and populations eventually collapse. And regions such as Owens Valley and Antelope Valley stand as tragic examples of this reality, where limited water sources, dried-up lakes, diverted rivers, and massive aqueduct projects drained local ecosystems, causing entire communities to slowly wither away, businesses to close, families to leave, and once hopeful settlements to transform into ghost towns abandoned by time, dust, and silence. While in Western California, rivers, snowmelt from the mountains, vast reservoirs, dams, and carefully engineered water distribution systems provide the lifeblood necessary for massive agriculture, sprawling cities, industrial zones, and everyday human comfort, making the difference between explosive growth and complete stagnation painfully clear. Economically, the divide becomes even sharper because Western California is not merely populated, it is a global magnet for ambition, home to Silicon Valley, where companies like Apple, Google, Nvidia, Meta, Tesla, and thousands of startups generate trillions of dollars, shape global markets, and attract talent from every corner of the planet, while Hollywood exports culture, stories, and influence worldwide. Ports, such as Los Angeles and San Francisco, move enormous volumes of international trade, and elite universities, research centers, and financial institutions create a self-reinforcing cycle of opportunity, innovation, and wealth that continuously pulls people westward. While Eastern California, by contrast, offers very little economic gravity, mostly small towns, limited mining operations, shrinking agriculture, tourism tied to seasonal conditions, and very few high-paying jobs, pushing younger generations to leave in search of education, careers, and stability, draining the region of human capital and locking it into long-term economic stagnation. Transportation further deepens this isolation because eastern highways such as Route 395 cut through brutal terrain of mountains, deserts, and empty valleys, where winter snowstorms can shut down roads for days or even weeks, summer heat can destroy tires and engines, sandstorms can erase visibility in seconds, and distances between towns stretch so far that emergency services, supply chains, and basic logistics become unreliable and expensive, making permanent settlement risky, inconvenient, and unattractive compared to the dense, accessible, well-connected infrastructure of the West. Adding to this emptiness is an ironic and almost tragic twist. Eastern California contains some of the most breathtaking natural beauty in the United States, including Yosemite, Sequoia, and Kings Canyon National Parks, vast protected landscapes filled with ancient giant sequoias, dramatic granite cliffs, deep valleys, alpine meadows, and rare wildlife. But these lands are protected under strict environmental laws that prevent major cities, industries, or large-scale infrastructure from being built, meaning enormous areas are intentionally left uninhabited, preserved for nature rather than people, beautiful yet silent, protected yet empty. Historically, this pattern was set long ago because during the gold rush of the 1850s, settlers rushed toward fertile valleys, coastal trade routes, and resource-rich zones in the West, while Eastern California served primarily as a corridor, a passage, or a temporary stop rather than a destination. And although some mining towns briefly flourished during resource booms, once the gold, silver, or minerals ran out, people abandoned them almost overnight, leaving behind places like Bodie, now frozen in time as ghost towns that stand as silent warnings of what happens when economy and environment turn against human ambition. While Native American tribes had lived in these harsh landscapes for centuries, adapted to scarcity, mobility, and extremes, European settlers largely avoided permanent settlement due to unfamiliar conditions and lack of resources, reinforcing a cycle of low population that never truly reversed. Ultimately, the human factor ties everything together, because humans instinctively choose locations where survival is easier, risks are lower, water is available, jobs exist, healthcare and education are accessible, and opportunities are visible. And while Western California offers mild coastal climates, reliable water, endless employment options, world-class institutions, entertainment, connectivity, and social mobility, Eastern California offers extremes, punishing heat and cold, scarce water, isolation, limited opportunity, environmental uncertainty, and logistical challenges, making the choice clear for millions of people over multiple generations. And this is why today, California stands as one of the most dramatic, visual, and powerful examples on Earth of how geography shapes destiny, where bustling coastal megacities exist just hours away from near total silence, where opportunity crowds one side of a mountain range while emptiness defines the other, proving that this east-west divide is not just about land or policy, but about history, climate, economics, human instinct, and nature's unbreakable rules. A powerful reminder that even in the most advanced, technologically driven societies on Earth, the environment still has the final say in where life can truly flourish.